Welcome to my channel. My name is Priska and I've been a YouTuber for 2 years this time. But this isn't the video where I convince you to start a YouTube channel. No, this is the video for you if you have a normal job and want more out of it. I have 7 lessons on creativity that would have served me just as well in my previous career in finance or my very first job as a Chick-fil-A cashier, where it was always my pleasure, of course. So if you're slap dab in the middle of your working life and you want more out of it, then let's begin. Now, I'm assuming that you have great ideas, creative ones that you haven't brought to life yet. Why do we get stuck with our creative ideas? It could be a lack of time or money or support, but often I blame it on perfectionism. And in the last 18 years of my working history, every time I've said that, it's because I don't really believe in my ideas enough to execute them. I get scared, and my biggest fear is working really hard on something and then presenting it to my coworkers or my customers and them rejecting it. Essentially, I'm fearful of failing publicly. In my twisted logic, sometimes I think if I never put my ideas out there, then they can't be rejected. So I use these obstacles like lack of time or money or perfectionism as reasons to not pursue those ideas. Now, I'll give you examples throughout this video of other videos I made after months of sitting on those concepts, but let's uncover the real reasons why we're scared and stuck with creativity. There's this terrifying yet positive aspect of creative work in that it makes you have to get okay with being rejected over and over again. So here's a confession. I am not nearly as confident about my videos as I seem when I'm recording them. This first tip is going to seem so obvious to you when I tell you, but But after I edit a video, I often have this teeny tiny little downward spiral that sounds something like this.
Oh my gosh, that was crap. I can't waste my subscribers' time with this. They won't get anything out of it and they'll hate me for it.
Ooh, big yikes, right? But that forces me to dig deeper, because when you fear something, I think you need to map out what is at the root of that fear. Now, I'm not scared of random haters on the internet. I'm really more scared that people I've grown a relationship with, including you all, or people I know in my real life, will reject me, the real me. And I'm scared of that because I'm scared they might be right. And I'm scared of that because it means that I'm unworthy and maybe I deserve to be alone for the rest of my life. I think the biggest fear that many of us have deep down is, what if I'm not good enough? And that's why we aren't as vulnerable as we need to be in our work to feel the richest fulfillments from it. By traveling through that intentional thought process, it helps me to uncover my fears and prevent a true emotional spiral. And that's the secret. Uncover the boogeyman and you'll realize he doesn't have power over you. His greatest power is fear. So if you want to steal your power back, you have to uncover it. Now, you can do this with a friend. Tell them what you're going through and they'll tell you how off base it is to feel unworthy. Or discover it for yourself. What I like to do is journal or map out that fear, and I realize how untrue it is. So if you realize you're holding yourself back because of fear of rejection and you're ready to live courageously at work, now you need to know how to unearth your best creative ideas. Your best ideas are hidden in 3 places. The first place is your story. The first time I made a somewhat vulnerable video for this channel was how I transformed my style in only 1 year. Welcome to my channel. My name is Priska Jordan, and today I want to share with you my style journey of how I went from broke and over-consuming to stylish and content. It doesn't sound terribly vulnerable, but in that video, I talked about growing up poor and very religious and not able to express myself through my clothing. And I talked about how that reflected covering up my personality to please everyone else but me. Now, when you talk about clothes and fashion, not many people care enough to get offended, but when you start talking about religion and parents and body image, that's touchy. So when I was writing the script for that video, I was sweating. I mean, I was really, truly nervous that I was going to blow up my channel. in the deadly way, not the viral way. I thought that y'all were going to think I was such a moron and I couldn't make sense of my own life and I was drawing conclusions that were completely false. And honestly, we've all been around people who talk like that, so I don't think it's an entirely unreasonable fear. But instead, that was the first video where I gave you all the opportunity to judge me as a real person, and you were immensely welcoming. Your comments let me know that you wanted to get to know the real me, not just keep me at arm's length and hear my little quips on fashion. But you know what? I sat on that video idea for months. I was too scared of being a real person with an unpopular yet honest opinion. And gosh, I wish I would have done that sooner. The fear of rejection haunted me in my dreams, and that stress was completely unnecessary. All along, it was my conscience prompting me to open up to you. So I wonder, what ideas do you have hidden in your own story? You've been through things, good and bad. Can you help someone with that? You really can if you'll be courageous enough to try. And when you do step out in courage, you'll be richly rewarded with deeper connection with the people you're talking to. The second place your best ideas are hidden are in your head. Let me encourage you to lean into your weirdo ideas. When I started my channel, I was most scared of overanalyzing clothing, not being a tall and skinny model, and my colorful style choices. Why? Because we live in a world where what's popular is mindless, instant consumerism, where everything is bleached, beige, cream, and white, and influencers are 5'10" and size 2. My look is not the hot trending one right now, but you know what? The cool look bores the hell out of me, and that has been my best distinguisher from almost anyone else. I do not tell you to buy to look like me. No, I tell you to embrace your unique style, your personality, your body, and I show you mine to give you an alternative to Instagram bodies and beige closets. 2 of my most 5 popular YouTube videos are about fashion trends. And I had 2 things working really hard against me when I started talking about this. Firstly, it's terribly saturated. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of videos on fashion trends and from YouTubers with million-person audiences. Why would you choose to watch mine? The second thing working against me is that my analyses are long. I'm sure you've heard that humans now have a shorter attention span than a goldfish. Goldfish can hold attention for 9 seconds and humans can only focus for 8. So who the heck has time for my 30-minute videos? Well, apparently 100,000 of you crazies. Now, I love watching long videos because I learn deeply. I think short videos tell you what to think, but long videos explain how they got to their conclusions, so you can decide if there's any merit to it and how you're going to think differently because of it. If you search YouTube for fashion trends, you'll find an onslaught of 10-minute videos, which to me means there's a gap in the market for long-form videos on this topic. So I had this weirdo idea that I would film a 30-minute video on fashion trends that was packed with information that was fun and helpful, but still a deep analysis. It was a big risk because it takes me months to prepare those videos, but oh boy was I rewarded for it. Those videos have gained me 2,000 of my 9,000 subscribers, and they supercharged my video making skills because they were difficult. And the cherry on top is that I've made 30% of my total revenue just from those 2. So what weirdo ideas do you have sitting in your head or on your phone notes that you'd love to pursue, but you think there's no market for it? Before you talk yourself out of it, remember that there are millions of people out there just like you wishing they had what you have to offer. Lean into those weirdo ideas. There's one last place that I think your best ideas are hidden. How many times have you nixed an idea because it might not make any money? Let me tell you about a video that has been both my best and worst performing. You probably don't remember this one because it plummeted in views when I published it, but how to move the non-chaotic way. At the time, I was so freaking proud of that video. I thought it was like the most helpful thing I had ever made because my tips were quick and simple and had a big return on your investment. But in the first few days after it was published, it got the worst views I'd ever had in a video, ever. I kept justifying it, saying, well, it was pressing on my mind and I grew my skill set, and I think it was actually really helpful for the 100 people who did watch it. But I knew from a business perspective that I wasted my time on something that I could have been putting towards a video that would be more profitable. I think we've all been in this situation. Maybe you presented your bright idea to a boardroom and they stared at you blankly. That's how I felt. But guess what? After 2 months of thinking I wasted my time, the algorithm picked it up, and shockingly, that video has made me more money than any other video on my channel by far.
Yay!
And I'm not saying any of this to brag, obviously, but simply to point out that you have ideas that you worry won't make any money, and most of them won't, but the ones that keep surfacing to your mind could be successful, either financially or otherwise. I think deep down you probably know the ones that you need to pursue, but maybe that's clouded by the immediate, obvious work that needs to be done. The most lucrative ideas aren't the ones that are immediately needed, so make sure you're using a portion of your time to craft concepts that you just can't stop thinking about, and who knows, maybe you'll turn it might not make any money to really big money. Now, I've never asked this before, but I am terribly curious. What do you do for work, and do you have a bright idea that you're working on? Let me know down in the comments. I can't wait to read it. There are 3 groups of people who will either supercharge or rob your creativity the most, and they are advisors, trolls, and friends. Let's talk advisors first. When I was getting married, I got so much advice from every random person who crawled out of the woodwork. I think over 100, maybe even 200 people gave me advice about marriage. And between you and me, 90% of it was garbage. I got advice from people who were unhappily married and unwilling to fix it. It seemed like everybody had an opinion. Some people had lovely yet completely irrelevant opinions. And maybe a handful of people had relevant, helpful, and encouraging advice, and that's the kind I prefer. Which is why I will tell you, do not take advice from people who don't have what you want. But do take advice from people who have what you want, even if you don't know them in real life. So where do you look for these wonderful advisors? I turn to YouTube or podcasts or books. But practice your discernment about who really has what you want and who is just posing, because the internet is full of posers. Use your intuition because you know, deep down, you know. The second group of people who will affect your creativity is trolls, and not the cute kind. Trolls. I have them, you have them, we all have them. My trolls are deemed internet trolls, but yours might be a coworker or a frenemy or even a mean-spirited family member. It's just someone who's so miserable in their own lives that they're trying their damnedest to make everyone else miserable too. So how do we deal with trolls without losing our courage to be creative and try out new ideas? I think mindset is huge on this one because it is a mental game. Someone much wiser than me once said, there is only one way to avoid criticism. Do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. You have to decide how badly you need to fulfill your ideas, and it should match your willingness to receive critical feedback, sometimes nice and sometimes mean. It doesn't mean you have to accept that feedback, but the only way to not receive it is to be a wallflower. And I would rather die than to keep all my great ideas locked in my brain vault just so I don't receive criticism. But how do you actually deal with the haters? Limit the attention you give to them. Shh. Attention is power. If someone can command your attention all day telling you you're worthless, well, first off, that's verbal abuse. But secondly, eventually you're going to believe that. That's why we should give the haters as little attention as possible. Instead, magnify the voices of people who are encouraging you. So whenever I read a mean comment, wait just a second, let me clarify. Someone who has a disagreeing opinion but is respectful about it is not a mean comment at all. A mean comment is more like this. We have to remember that mean people voice their opinions more frequently and loudly than kind people. It's like if I get 10,000 views on a video, it will get 500 likes and maybe 50 comments, and only 2 of those are actually mean. So 48 people appreciated the video enough to go out of their way to leave a comment, and I can focus only on the 2 main ones. Ugh. So to change my focus from the 2 trolls to the 10,000 people who watched the video, I like to read the positive and encouraging comments. So if you're one of those lovely subscribers who leaves lovely comments, thank you, and I'm so appreciative. And that's a perfect segue into the last group of people who will help you with your creativity, and that's friends. If you're talking about your ideas frequently with your friends and nobody wants to discuss your ideas, then you need to branch out. There are plenty of people who crave your voice, who are having the same inner dialogue as you about those niche topics like relationship dynamics or business strategies or health foods or any other topic that you're fascinated by. Now, I'm super blessed because my husband is my best friend and we talk about almost everything, and mostly we enjoy it, but there are certain things that even he can't begin to relate to, like how women's clothing affects their psychology and their sense of self-worth. He'll listen, but there's not a lot of dialogue going on, so I rely on you all for that. In case you haven't heard, your vibration is magnetic. Be who you want to be, and you will attract whom you want to attract. I hope that this video inspires you to practice more creativity and courage and connection in your daily work, and I'll see you next week with a brand new video. But until then, take care.